This is The Whole Truth, brought to you by the Greenville County Democratic Party. From local city councils and school boards to the South Carolina Legislature and the nation, we provide a clear-eyed view of the whole truth surrounding the decisions, the policies, and the politics that have a direct impact on your family, your neighbors, and you. In today's episode of The Whole Truth, we are going to hear from one of the two write-in candidates who took a stand against the Republican supermajority in the South Carolina Legislature. Stacey and Charles hosted our special guest, Dexter Reaves, who stood up in the midst of the scramble for the holidays to run an extremely compressed write-in campaign for the District 21 seat in the South Carolina House of Representatives. Here is their interview with Dexter Reaves.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Whole Truth podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Charles Morris, third vice chair of the Greenville County Democratic Party. And as always, we have our other co-host, the chair of the Greenville County Democratic Party, Stacey Morris. And the special guest that we have today joining us is Mr. Dexter Reaves. Dexter was just a write-in candidate in the House District 21 special election. Dexter, appreciate you joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
So I'll lead it off with kind of a basic question here. So for people who are listening, a lot of people may not know who you are. It was a very kind of quick write-in campaign, right? So who is Dexter Reaves? What pulled you into local politics and public service in Greenville?
Very simple answer. I'm from a small town called Latta, South Carolina, which is near Myrtle Beach, Dillon County, that area. Graduate of Benedict College in Columbia. Moved here in 1995 to pursue a career in law enforcement. Started my law enforcement career in 1996 with the Greenville County Detention Center. Then moved from there to the Greer Police Department. Served some time with the Greer Police Department from 96 until 2001. Came over to the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. Worked as a deputy there at the Sheriff's Office, community deputy, school resource officer for several years. Then transitioned over to the Greenville County Schools as an intervention specialist, where my role there was to mentor and counsel young people who are experiencing personal, academic, or discipline issues. Later on, I became an executive director at a nonprofit in Greenville, Pleasant Valley Connection. Stayed there for 3 years, gained a lot of insight on the nonprofit world. Then went back into law enforcement as a county constable with the Greenville County Summary Court. Did that for about 5 years or so. Branched out and started my own business, S&R Executive Services, where we provide professional security services, private, unarmed, and armed security service, and private investigations. Also provide security services for a reentry program called Concordance here in Greenville, South Carolina.
That's a lot. That's a lot of different things there. That is a varied background and resume. Let me piggyback on that real quick. Stacey, if you don't mind, I'm going to piggyback on that real quick. You got a lot of different experiences, especially in law enforcement and in the school system. What would you say you've drawn on the most in starting a business and in running for public office?
Probably both. Being in law enforcement, of course, with the background of law enforcement and then having the security business itself go hand in hand. But working inside the school system and with the nonprofit gives you a different perspective on how to relate to people in general. It is a service-oriented position as far as a nonprofit, as executive director, and also as an intervention specialist where you mentor young folk, trying to groom them into being successful individuals and positive individuals.
So, Dexter, people don't really know how you came to actually be the write-in candidate for the party. We tried to find somebody to put on the ballot in March. Nobody stepped up and, we didn't quit. We just kept looking and we, thanks to the state party, Jay Parmley, actually, he saw your name on a list and he was like, talk to Dexter. He's like, he's a great guy. He said you've done all the stuff that you did. And I was like, okay. And so I heard you were connected and that kind of thing. And I was just like, okay, like I know people with connections. I'll say this. Dexter, when somebody says that Dexter is connected. Okay. I learned this very quickly. Okay. And so, talked to a few people about you, and then I called you, and you were kind of shocked. And within a few weeks, your name, we had you out and running for this office, and you managed to get over 30% of the vote right before Christmas time. Now, that speaks to you and everything that you've done, I think. But tell us a little bit about why you think that 30%, you got that 30%. I mean, you've told me before, you said, I've gotten the most votes of a write-in candidate before. And I said, okay. Yeah. I was like, okay, but you made a believer out of me in this campaign. So tell me why you think you got that.
It comes from being a part of other campaigns as well. Of course, I ran for sheriff twice in Greenville County. 2008, I was on the ballot. 2012, of course, there were so many candidates who were removed from the ballot. I was one of those candidates. I was fortunate enough to continue my campaign to be the sheriff, and I did receive more write-in votes for that particular election in 2012 than any write-in candidate in South Carolina and in North Carolina, in both states during that time. Also, being in the city of Greer, I became a copy in Greer in 1996. I still live here in Greer. So I have a lot of great relationships as well. I also ran for city council in Greer, I want to say 2018. Didn't do too bad. I think I only lost maybe by a couple of votes, probably not even 10, 15 votes. So I guess the name is still a name that's still polished, I'll say, or a name that's still pretty common in the area. And there are a lot of people who know about some of the things I've done as far as pouring into people, not just young people, but people in general. Anytime anyone calls for advice or assistance, it's very rare that I'll tell them no. I do what I can to help everybody. And I think that was something that stayed in the back of minds of people when they heard the name Dexter Reaves.
Yeah, I agree. Because people were coming out of nowhere saying, we've been waiting for you to run for office for a long time. I remember that. So I guess the other question I have that's connected to that is, you've run a number of times. What's a lesson that you've learned and the advice that you would give to new candidates, people who are new to running for office? What's something that you would say is important for them to know to be able to get that kind of share of the vote?
Never quit and always remain positive. There are so many elected officials who've run for office numerous times and did not succeed the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time. But each of those persons stayed positive, stayed focused. And by doing so, eventually, when it's your opportunity to reach that milestone, you will.
Related to that, Dexter, you mentioned the Greer City Council race, and you're right. I looked that up earlier. Very close race. Obviously in the city of Greer, the races are a little smaller, right? So they could be super close. What lessons do you think you took from that race? And then, considering how long ago it's been, what would you say has changed with voters, with the people you talk to this time around?
I think voters want to see the candidate face to face, in person. One of the things that Steve and I did, and with our particular campaigns a couple of weeks ago, we both went door to door. That experience of going door to door, and from having constituents say, wow, I just got your call, your robocall, or wow, I just got your card in the mail and you're at my door. I think that means a lot. It shows that you're here for a purpose. You're here to assist, and you'll be that candidate or that elected official who would have the open door policy, basically.
It's a little different when somebody looks at your face on a piece of mail and then they're looking at your face on their front doorstep, right?
Yes, and there was several times we both heard that on that particular day, that several people just received our mails, and then they saw us at their door, which had motivated them more to get out and vote.
So I just guess I have a question that I want to ask that I'm gonna throw out there. What would you say your experience was like with this campaign itself? I mean, it was very short, very unconventional. Like you didn't have a lot of time. What would you say you took away from that? What was that experience like?
Well, it was. I still say it was a magnificent campaign. To run a campaign of that magnitude and in less than 2 weeks, and to receive the amount of support we received from the community, from both parties, from just people in general, is just outstanding. As far as what I take away from that and what experiences I gained from that, getting in shape, staying in shape. Staying in shape, staying mentally focused, more importantly, because I had to get my mind back to that mindset of being a candidate. Because when you call, Stacey, my mind was just holidays. Let's get through the holidays, basically, is what my mind was set at. So I had to transition from the holiday season to, oh, we're going to do both. We're going to celebrate the holidays, my birthday, and we're also going to run a campaign. So it's just getting your mindset back to focus on specific things that could carry you across that finish line.
Yeah, and you never said no to anything I asked you to do. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I was calling Dexter every day with homework, and you did it. You knocked it out of the park every single time between you and Steve. I mean, we knew it was a long shot because writing campaigns are always a long shot. But for both of you to overperform in the time that you had, I think that speaks to the climate, right? That people want change.
Well, that's one of the things we heard Stacey a lot from going door to door. People are eager for change. They're tired of some of the things that we're experiencing, not just statewide but nationwide. They really want someone who's compassionate, someone who's going to really work for them, someone who understands them. And flat out, just as you said, people are just tired of some of the things that's going on.
Speak to that. What did people tell you? What did you hear the most because you went to a lot of doors in a short amount of time. What were people saying to you in your conversations?
They were excited to see that there was someone who was stepping up to take on the challenge of running for office, for one. Secondly, for someone who has the experience to step back out to bring forth an opportunity to bring the party back on track.
And can I just shout out the state party? I just want to shout out the state party and our team as well, because when I went to them, I was like, hey, I want to do a write-in campaign. And they were like, okay, what do you need? Like, there was no, well, are you sure about that? Like, they're hard, they're this. They were just like, okay, what do you need? And I was like, well, I need a candidate. And then, we found Dexter, and then we sat down and we strategized. And then I came back to you guys, Charles, you'll remember. And I was like, hey, y'all, we got a candidate. Here's the plan. And everybody just jumped into action, right? Like, before I could really solidify everything, everybody was like, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And I just think that speaks so much to the change that our team wants to see and that the state party wants to see. And so I'm really, truly thankful to them and to Dexter as well for stepping up to run, and just to you guys because it was the holiday season. Everybody had plans. And not that you put them on hold or anything, but you definitely made room to try and make Dexter's campaign successful. And I'm just grateful for that.
I concur. To have the level of support and the amount of time we had to run this campaign it was outstanding. From different organizations, family members, friends, members of the state and local party. It was amazing, and it's greatly appreciated.
Let me ask you this, Dexter. So it sounds like you've done a couple write-in campaigns now, because you talked about the sheriff and then obviously this campaign. A write-in campaign, it does add a little bit of friction for a voter, right? Because instead of going in the booth and just tapping on something, they got to type in a name, right? In your conversations with people before the election and then after the election, do you think that had any kind of limitation on how many votes you got? Or do you think that that the people that you talked to were just so excited to have somebody that they didn't care?
I don't think it had any hindrance on people going to the polls to vote. I think people were just excited about having a polished and positive candidate out there running for this particular office. Of course, when I went to the door, a lot of people spell my last name with two E's. But being from the PD, we're Reaves. So I had to explain that several times as Reaves. But again, as we stated earlier, the name is so common because I've been here for about 30 years or so. So the name is common, so it wasn't a problem at all. But people are just eager to get out and vote for a candidate that they feel could really bring change.
Funny you mentioned the name thing, because we talked about that. I know that somebody asked at the executive committee, do you have to spell the name exactly right? And Stacey said no. And I was like, oh, thank God, because somebody's going to spell it with two E's. That's just natural, right?
Oh, it was happening the whole time. The whole time.
Same for Steve. Same, because his last name's Everett. I'm like, somebody's going to put Everett with one T, two, whatever, So thank God you didn't have to spell it exactly right. But it's funny you mentioned that.
Dexter, okay, I think this is the last question we have, but taking the results that we have, the nearly 30% in a short write-in campaign, do you see this as a signal to run again with your name on the ballot?
Ballot.
If so, how do you think you would do things differently next time?
I think it is a signal. It's something that I am contemplating. It is a signal, and I do think that by having more time to run a full campaign and with the name being on the ballot, I do feel that the outcome would be different.
I'm gonna step in for Dexter a little bit there. This man got 630 write-in votes with 2 weeks notice, 2 days before Christmas.
Yep.
I think that's a clear signal, Dexter, to run again, file with your name on the ballot, have a whole campaign cycle, get volunteers behind you, the whole works, and let Stacey boss you around some more the whole time too.
That was easy.
Yeah. Dexter convinced me to come to the watch party. I was dead tired that night, he'll tell you, after it was all said and done. But I came to the watch party at Trevinia's. And I don't think I'll ever forget this. This is one of the campaign stories that's going to go down for me, forever, because I walked in and it was crowded, Charles. It was just wall to wall people. And I've never seen Trevinia's like that. I walk in, I find Dexter. I was like, are all these people here for you? And he's like, yeah, about 75% of the restaurant. And I'm like, what? What? He says, Stacey, you must not know Dexter Reaves. I said, I am quickly learning who Dexter Reaves is. So I think with a full campaign, if Dexter were to decide to run, he'd put up some numbers.
Who are all those people, Dexter? Who are all those people, and why do you think they showed up for you that night?
Family, friends, supporters, people who truly believe in Dexter, people who were waiting to hear that Dexter was planning to make a run again, regardless if I was running to be the dog catcher. Those people were going to be there to have my back and to show support.
Sounds like he's got a ready-made call list. I don't know about you, Stacey.
Oh, I think he does. I know. You know what? I know he does. Let me rephrase. I know he does. Yeah. So, Dexter, thanks for taking some time to talk with us today. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Glad you made it back. We hope to see you doing some big things in the future.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Dexter. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
We want to thank you for watching and listening to The Whole Truth podcast, brought to you by the GCDP. It is now available on both Spotify and Apple Podcast outlets, so please make sure you share the link to this podcast with a friend or three, or post it on your own social media profiles. Help us spread the word so more people can get the whole truth. You can also learn about other ways to get involved by checking in the GCDP website at greenvilledemocrats.com and click on the events calendar. Or you can keep up with what's going on by following our social media profiles shown here. No matter what your experience you have or what skills you have to offer, we welcome you to join us in helping progress this county toward a better future. Thanks for watching and listening.